What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, and widely considered the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world, Terence Crawford, responds now a second time to the longest reigning world champion in the sport of boxing, WBC featherweight, 126-pound world champion superstar boxer, Mr. Gary Russell Jr. Right? Gary Russell Jr. was on Barbershop Conversations 2 nights ago, in which he explained that he broke Terence Crawford's jaw after a sparring session that Terence Crawford had, right? And he said that it wasn't the sparring session wasn't amongst Gary Russell and Terence Crawford. It was amongst Terence Crawford and somebody else. And Terence Crawford, after the sparring session that he lost, according to Gary Russell, asked Mr. Gary Russell what he thought of the sparring session, in which Mr. Gary Russell said that Terence Crawford was salty about the sparring session and about Gary Russell's stance on the sparring session, and started getting, irate. And he said that he ended up, it was one punch. He threw a punch, he broke Terence Crawford's jaw or shattered his jaw and sent Terence Crawford to the hospital. Terence Crawford had immediately responded to that by saying, I'll answer you, I'll see you once I get back, right? And he said, look at this. Oh, Mr. Gary Russell is trying to get clout chasing off my name, right? Now he comes back, he does a live. He said, I don't normally do these types of things and respond to these types of situations, but he took it somewhere else, meaning Gary Russell. And he says, that Gary Russell never broke his jaw. He says that I asked for the sparring session after we was going back and forth when we got in the ring, and he sucker punched me. He said, I didn't fall, I wasn't dazed, anything. Everybody broke it up, and then he got kicked off. Then I got kicked off the team. I got sent home, right? He said he didn't break my jaw or anything, but they knew that I was going to get in his blank, so they sent me home. So I got kicked off and he was able to stay. He said because they knew I was going to beat his blank, right? So he says, and if I see you, as far as taking it to the streets, if I see you in the streets, you already know what it is. He says, Julie, who is his manager, is Terence Crawford's manager. He says, anybody can ask Julie. She know what it is, and you know what it is. He said, and if I see you in the street and you want to take it there, he said, everybody knows I'll snap your neck in the street, right? So at the end of the day, he said, you all of 5'4" and 122 pounds. He said, you still fighting at 122 to 126 pounds. You too little for me. He said, now you talking about you'll come up to welterweight and challenge me at welterweight. He said, come on, boy, it is what it is. If you want to come up to welterweight, I'll gladly dish it out to you. Point blank and period. He said, but everybody knows what took place that night. You capping. So in other words, he's saying now that, that never happened. That Gary Russell didn't stagger him. I didn't drop. He didn't break my jaw. He said he snuffed me. Point blank and period. So Terence Crawford, he said, I don't usually do this. I don't go live. I don't say these things. I don't respond to these things. But in this case, he made it personal, so I had no choice but to respond. So Terence Crawford went absolutely in on Gary Russell, right? And he said that I was kicked out, meaning himself, Terence Crawford was kicked out of the session of the Olympic trials and everything that was going on. And I was sent home, and you was allowed to stay because they knew what it was. Everybody knew what it was. If given the opportunity, I would have got in. Point blank and period. My thoughts is this. I said that like Terence Crawford said, Gary Russell's a 126 pounder, right? He's a featherweight. Also, Terence Crawford, before I forget, went in on Vasil Lomachenko beating him. He said, I was rooting for your punk PA, right? He said, I was cheering for you. I was going for you. He said, and then you went in there and you doing, I was backing you. So in other words, Terence Crawford saying, I was behind you. I was rooting for you. And now you turn around and do, and basically, switch up on me, right? So he like, listen, I was rooting for you in the Lomachenko fight. I had you winning the fight. I thought you should have won the fight. He's saying then you get in there and now you want to talk all of this nonsense towards me, right? So Terence Crawford went in. This was on his IG Live. You know, he absolutely went in on Mr. Gary Russell Jr. So, but my thoughts is this: Gary Russell Jr., like he said, is 5'4". He's a 126 pounder. He's saying that he could jump up to 147. That's 21 pound jump, right? That's a massive jump, right? That's a huge jump. In my opinion, you know, we know this. Great big men beat great little men. That's just the facts. More times than none. Now you get anomalies sometimes. You get Pacquiao situations. You know, you do have guys. Shane Mosley jumped up from 35 to 47. He was successful. So you do have these success stories. But 21 pounds, from you skipping 130, 135, 140, all the way to 47, four divisions, right? And you're not a big guy. He said that, you know, he wouldn't look to make 147. He would make the necessary weight of 141 to compete with Terence Crawford at welterweight. I just don't see it happening. Yeah, he can do it. Can he be successful against Terence Crawford? He even made mention of Errol Spence when asked about it. You know, Mikey Garcia is more doable. Mikey Garcia started at 122, 126. So he's not the biggest guy in the world. But Errol Spence, you know, 5 inches, 6 inches taller than him, you know, with, you know, what mega arm reach advantages. It's like, it's just not physically possible in my opinion, right? Anything's possible. You ask Gary Russell, he's going to have the confidence as he should. But I just can't see him competing against Terence Crawford, you know, at the welterweight division. No. So, you know, and it puts Terence Crawford in a lose-lose situation in my opinion. You're supposed to beat Gary Russell. He's not going to get no props for doing it. And if he struggles, it's going to be he got exposed. So it's a lose-lose situation. So let's see how this all plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Road. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.